What's up, guys? Iceman here. So, we need to talk about this, okay? And I don't know exactly what it is we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk about something in relation to Diablo. Because Riker posted this video called, "We Need to Talk About Diablo 4's Group Play Problem." So, let's see what he has to say about this issue.
Hey folks, this is Riker, and let me tell you about my play experience with the new Diablo 4 class, the Spiritborn, on July 18th, when I return. In this video, we'll talk about how some Sorcerer experts in D4 weigh in on how screwed the class is in Season 5. We'll discuss a number of other Diablo topics, but we'll also talk about how George R.R. Martin is teasing an Elden Ring TV show, the bugger. Path of Exile is teasing Boat League, and Last Epoch dropped some new details about its upcoming Harbinger
Diablo 4
for free. Now, getting into Diablo 4 news, last week we spoke a bit about the state of Sorcerers in upcoming Season 5, and in short, not looking great.
Sorcerer sucks big, you know that right now.
Wowhead interviewed two top Sorcerer players, Roxy and Makuna.
But I'm going to play the Sorcerer anyway at the start of Season 5. I don't really care as much if the other characters and stuff are going to have bigger numbers over their heads, because I want to play as a Sorcerer. I want to embody a mage, and I'm sure she's still going to be able to do all the endgame content. Maybe not the Tormented Ubers as quickly, but nonetheless, I'm pretty sure it's going to be okay, and they're probably going to bring some balance to it by Season 5. I remember the biggest thing was they took away the perma flame shield variant, which made you 100% invulnerable, and that was quite a spiritual journey in itself when I was trying to attain that. And by the time this Season 5 thing was announced and they were going to nerf that, I kind of quit. I was like, okay, I'm just going to wait till Season 5. I'm going to stop trying to make this perma-immune sorcerer and see how it goes from there. But of course, that's kind of understandable. It doesn't make much sense to have a 100% all the time invulnerable character, as fun as it was. So I'm curious to see what they do with the Sorcerer. Well, one of the ideas that I had was, why not just make Flame Shield reduce your damage by like 80 or 90%, and then you could still always keep it up, but it doesn't sound like that's what they're going to do, because now the cooldown for it isn't going to start until it expires. But yeah, let's see if there's any changes that they've made on it.
Who are able to shed extra insight. Check out the full interview, link in the description, but basically, Roxy said that the nerfs to Flame Shield were expected in order to stop the immortal playstyle that it enabled, being able to keep that immortality shield up all the time.
I hate to say it.
But the Ice Armor changes were a big hit to Sorcerer survivability, and the teleport cooldown increase was just adding insult to injury.
Yeah, the teleport cooldown is complete bullshit. It's not like it helps that much. It's one of the few things that differentiates the Sorcerer from the other characters. It's the old school Sorcerer, you know what I mean? From Diablo 1, Diablo 2, where you could just teleport all over the place. It's not that helpful in Diablo 4. Half the damn walls you can't teleport through anyway, and you don't know that until you try it. So you just waste your cooldown, then you get to wait and wait and wait and wait until you can try it again. And then all of a sudden you find you can't teleport through that fucking wall either. So you can't really tell which walls you can and cannot teleport through, which is probably a fundamental issue. But the teleport thing is something that I have a big problem with. I think that was a big mistake. They need to bring it back to the original cooldown. Don't enhance the cooldown. Well, why the hell did they do that? It's not like it was that edgy or helpful. It didn't give them that much of an edge. They already suck anyway, so bring back the original teleport. In fact, make it even less of a cooldown, because that just straight up sucks. You know, I can understand the flame shield thing, but the teleport thing is ridiculous.
And Makuna agreed that the Ice Armor nerf seemed unnecessary. Roxy believes that Sorcerers will be really squishy in Season 5, and the only time we've seen Sorcerers shine has been due to things unintended by the devs, like the ball lightning bug in Season 2. To try to fix Sorcerers, he'd like to see a return of the third enchantment slot that was said to be available to Sorcerers in pre-release versions of the game, but also just an entire overhaul to the enchantment system to make the lesser and never used effects more viable. Makuna feels that Sorcerers are just poorly balanced relative to other classes.
I hate to say it, but that's probably necessary
base damage and defense. And with the Flame Shield nerf in Season 5, Sorcerers will have basically no damage and no defense.
Yes, I'm going to play it anyway. I mean, I encourage you guys, take the spiritual journey when it comes to Season 5. Don't do the copy-paste build thing from Icy Veins or Maxwell or whatever. That just completely takes away from the play experience. Part of the fun was just make the character, and I made my Sorcerer after I made my Necromancer. My Necromancer was far better, but I actually enjoyed the Sorcerer more. And I didn't look at a guide. I messed around with the Paragon, and it wasn't too long, and she was doing a lot of the stuff. You know what I mean? She was doing Pit 50 or whatever. It wasn't that impressive, or she was doing 60-some. So, I mean, I still could collect the endgame crafting materials. It was slower than my Necro, but it was a journey. It was a build-up. And the thing is, with a game like Diablo, when there's no skill involved, it's just a bunch of buttons on cooldown, the fun is the journey. The fun is getting there, is the receiving, is the perceiving, is the pursuing, is the ascension. You know what I mean? It's not the reaching max level and then just quitting. That's not really fun when you get all this stuff and then you just quit. Because, I mean, there's no skill to attain here. It's not like Call of Duty or something where you have to aim and shit. So, I mean, keep the journey alive. But I would recommend you guys try it. Just go into it blind. Go into Season 5 blind, and then you might see.
The third enchantment slot, he doesn't think that's going to really help sorcerers at this point. And he also seems unimpressed with the new toys that sorcerers are getting in Season 5. Roxy believes that in order to save sorcerers in Season 5, the devs need to revert the Ice Armor nerf, buff spells and not just passives, and rework spell-specific uniques to increase build variety.
I actually didn't know that Ice Armor was nerfed as well. What the hell? What did they do to Ice Armor? Was that really necessary? Ice Armor wasn't all that helpful. I just kind of used it because it was there. But are you serious? They nerfed that as well? What the hell is going on here? I think they should undo whatever the hell. I don't even need to hear what they did to it because it wasn't that good. Undo that nerf as well and teleport.
Also add the third enchantment slot and allow sorcerers to equip an additional item the way that rogues and barbarians can. And that's a tall order. Reverting Ice Armor, that should be easy enough for the devs to do. Buffing spells, yeah, they can probably do a balancing pass and fit that in time for season launch. We just have to pray that the final balance is going to be good enough because we're not going to get another PTR to test.
You know, unfortunately, what they have to do here, because I think what we're witnessing right now is the sorcerer is underwhelming, but they're too afraid to nerf everything else to bring it down in comparison to it. So they just feel like they have to buff things about it because they're too afraid to nerf. And it's because they're pussies. I don't know any other way to say it, but the devs must be exactly that, because it makes sense to nerf builds to bring things down, to balance it out. If you don't do that, if you rather only insist on buffing everything else, which is what they're doing aside from the example of the sorcerer, what that ends up becoming in a game like this is it demands higher difficulties. And as good as that sounds on paper, oh yeah, it needs more difficulty. What that ends up turning into is just the new meta. And then we have endless tiers of difficulties, or that's where it heads anyway. It turns into something like Diablo 3, where there are 16 or 17 difficulties, most of which you just skip. You just bump it up to the top tier, and then that's where it begins. So this isn't fixing any problems at all. It's just increasing the numbers exponentially, which is just going to make it more and more convoluted. Is that how you say that? Because it's annoying having so many difficulties to sift through, when the only thing anyone really cares about is just doing the highest difficulty. So it puts all these new difficulties in the mix that you just skip. It's complete bullshit. They're unnecessary. And what they need to do is bring it back. You know, they must keep it at 4 difficulties. If they bring it up again, Ice Toad's going to be pissed. All right? This is going to be fucking bullshit if they bring it up. Because I know a lot of you guys are saying, oh, they need a tier 5 difficulty, world tier 5. Duh. Yeah, that's just going to fuck everything up. It's just going to open up Pandora's box, and it's going to make new grounds to be like, okay, this is the standard now. We're just going to keep adding difficulties, and this shit's going to turn into Diablo 3 all over again. If you want to play Diablo 3, go play Diablo 3, okay? It's still there. Because that's what this is going to turn into if they start going in that direction, which they already have to an extent. They need to, because what they're afraid to do, The reason why they're pussies is because they're afraid to nerf shit. Because they're like, oh, then everybody's going to whine. Players are going to be like, oh, they nerfed my build. Oh, they nerfed my build. I quit. You know, they're too afraid that the babies are going to go and try another game for a minute. Even though that's not going to be the end all. Because they're going to go try another game. But if they make Diablo 4 good, they're going to come back. And then if they make it, like Diablo 2 only has 3 difficulties. Diablo 1 only has 3 difficulties. People have been playing that game for 25, 30 years. All right? There's a reason why we moved from Diablo 3 to Diablo 4. I mean, I made that move in like 2014 or something. I realized people were still playing Diablo 2 and I started playing that again. I was like, damn, I didn't realize they were still playing this game. No wonder it's a good game. But, I mean, that's what they need to do. They need to man up a little bit and be willing to nerf shit. Because if they don't do that, they're just going to keep buffing and then, oh, whoops, we buffed this one too much, but we don't want to tone it down again, so we're going to have to buff the other one now. And then they just keep buffing and buffing and buffing and buffing and buffing. And then they're like, shit, we need like 50 difficulties now. You know what I mean? That's complete bullshit. They need to, please, Blizzard, keep it at 4 difficulties. God damn. Nerf everything down so that World Tier 4 is actually hard again. That's what they got to do. All right, give me a hell yeah if you guys are with me in the comment section. And if you're not with me on that, then your opinion is bullshit. But let's hear what else Riker has to say.
Reworking uniques, again, feasible, but without a PTR test. Yikes. There's just a lot of opportunity for the changes to either be not enough or result in something broken. Third enchantment slot, actually probably not too difficult to do since it was already in the game at some point. And the balance of adding that should be fine. But adding an extra item slot, that is a lot of work. I think, at least.
That's a good idea, however. That's probably what they should do. Like in World of Warcraft, for example, I was surprised. I didn't even know you could do it at first because I'm so used to Diablo games. But I didn't realize it at first. But in World of Warcraft, you can wield both a staff and a dagger and an offhand, which makes sense because like you have your dagger in your main hand, you have your little offhand orb in your other hand, and then you have your staff hanging on your back. You know what I mean? So why don't they just add that? I mean, it's like they were lazy. Like they did it with a barbarian where he could have more weapon slots. They did it with a rogue because it was kind of thematic. They have little daggers they can pull out of their jacket and stab shit. You know what I mean? Why can't they do it with the sorcerer? It's like they did it with the barbarian, then they did it with the rogue, and they're like, well, okay, we got all the numbers added up. We got to release the game now. They're like, I don't know. If we got to do it with the sorcerer, we're going to have to run all these numbers again. It's going to be a pain in the ass. So let's just make the sorcerer like everybody else, but let's keep it sucky like it is. You know, it's kind of what they did. But it makes sense thematically. You're a damn sorcerer, a mage, or a wizard. You have a fucking staff. You know what I mean? And so have the staff on the back and you can still receive buffs from it. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Add the damn weapon slot. I mean, if they just add the damn weapon slot, it probably would still be fine. You know, it's going to bust up your numbers a little bit. You're going to be able to have another unique mod, or you're going to be able to have another legendary mod. But, I mean, they suck, you know? I mean, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Unfortunately, that's what they need to do. I mean, I don't think it's going to be that hard. I mean, these guys, they make the other mods. They do it for free. The Project Diablo 2 guys, they do it for free. And the Diablo 1 Hell mod guys, Beelzebub, that's the best way we play Diablo 1. Massive stash, shared tabs, all new endgame content, all new items, reworked, belt slot. You got rares, sats added to the game, new uniques. I mean, it's awesome. But those guys don't even get paid for it. You know, aren't they getting paid over at Blizzard? God damn, can't you have one person? Is that what you call them nowadays? I don't even know. But can't you have one thing? Just make the fucking, put the staff on the goddamn back and balance shit out? That would be a great solution.
Now, it's no coincidence that Barbarian has consistently been a top, if not the top class, season after season, and it's the class with the most item slots.
Right.
4 weapon
really
slots versus the 2 weapon slots
reason.
that Druid Sorcerers and Necromancers get. And if either of those classes want to wield a 2-handed weapon, then that's giving up yet another weapon slot, whereas barbs never have to give up a slot to carry a two-hander. At times, they basically have a 3-slot advantage over most other classes, and every additional slot is basically an additional source of multiplicative damage, so it's just really hard to keep barbarians in check when they have so many more opportunities for creating powerful item synergies. In a game in which items are such a huge, significant source of your character's power, giving one class more items than any other is a huge advantage.
Well, with
and
the
it just
barb,
makes it so difficult.
What they have to do then is they just have to nerf the legendary affixes across the board, so that they don't have to take away one of the items. I mean, somebody just has to get in there and put 24 hours of work in, That's all that really has to be done here. I mean, one person, this is bullshit. Like, one person can go in there, balance out the barbarian, keep all the weapon slots, and let the wizard hold a damn staff on the back, you know what I mean? And balance that out a little bit. I mean, it's not going to be that big of a deal, all right? I mean, do I got to go in there and do this for free? I'll do it if I have to. I'll source out the work. I mean, I'm not going to do it myself. I don't want to do all that computer bullshit. But I mean, I'll source out the work. I'm sure a couple of my dogs on Discord could do this. All right, like it's not that difficult. If they want to hit me up, I mean, shit, I'll outsource the work and we'll get it done. All right, in time for season 5. But I got to hear from them soon. They got to hit me up soon. Blizzard has to hit me up soon. All right, I would say within the next week. So you got till Saturday, hit up the Ice Boy, and we're going to get this shit done. We're going to make this a good goddamn game.
To balance. Now, another topic I see brought up in the community is pit balancing for group play. Now, right now, group play in pits is basically disincentivized. One person puts in the materials, and that person gets the bulk of the rewards, meaning in a group of 4, 3 out of the 4 people aren't maximizing their rewards. They're also not paying a price, but they don't even have the option to pay a price and get more rewards. They have to make it up in volume. Additionally, anyone dying cuts time off the run, so one person dying over and over punishes whoever put in the materials.
They must be doing that so you're not just 100% incentivized just to rush all your boys to the end real quickly, you know what I mean? They got to have some penalties, one of which is if you don't use the damn materials, if you're not the king leader or whatever, you're not going to get as many rewards for it. The other of which is if you have a bunch of shitty players who are trying to rush, if one of them dies, it's going to slow things down. Kind of makes sense, so I mean... But yeah, the problem is it does de-incentivize group play to an extent, which is kind of the odd part about it.
Now that last part isn't super relevant. If you're pushing pits, then it is. But if you're speed farming, you're not going to reach a point of failure. And also, pit materials have turned out to be so bountiful that it doesn't really matter if you burn some. You're just wasting time effectively. However, for those efficient runs, when you get into the groove of just efficiently grinding out your resources, it does mean that you have to do rotations within your group, taking turns putting in materials so that everyone is benefiting equally from grouping up, which is just a tedious thing to track in an otherwise very smooth gameplay loop. Pits offer probably the smoothest gameplay loop of anything in the game until you turn it into a group activity. And it seems like the current implementation was designed to solve edge cases, but it's at the expense of the most common way people want to run group pits together. And it's another example of Diablo 4 having to relearn the lessons that we learned in Diablo 3. In D3, when rifts were introduced, and pits are just the evolution of rifts, it took one key to open one rift. So one person would open the rift for the entire group, just like pits in D4. So what happened? People would want to leech and get as many free rift runs as possible. Back with pits, everyone got equal rewards there. And so what happens is in random group play, there was sort of a gentleman's agreement that everyone would rotate through to open rifts, but then tons of people would just leave the game when it was their turn, or otherwise they would just refuse to put in a key saying they don't have any or whatever.
What if they were to just make everyone pay for it equally? Like everyone has to use 3 of the runestones or whatever to enter the damn thing. I wonder why they can't just do that. It's like they're trying to take a step toward incentivizing group play, but at the same time, they're having these detrimental effects when you run group play, and they still want to be like welfare-ish, you know what I mean? Where like, oh, just one person can pay for it. Why not just have them all pay equally and just call it good, you know what I mean? And then have a little bit of an incentive to do that. Like, have like another item drop or something. For every player added to the party, just one more item drops at the boss. It's not going to be a buffed item. It's not going to be one of these bullshit greater affix guarantee items that ruin the game. It's just going to be one more legendary per party member. You know what I mean? They all pay the same. And then there's a penalty when somebody dies. It adds some time to the clock. I mean, it seems like that would solve it. I didn't even have to think about it. Holy shit, I solved that in like 5 fucking seconds. You know what I mean? I mean, this is why you guys got to get Iceman behind this thing. It's not going to be that hard. You know, I really don't want to do it. I mean, can't they just do it themselves? God damn. You know, it doesn't seem like it's going to take much. But I think that would be a simple solution without thinking about it too much.
So that system was problematic, and it resulted in some interesting community.
But I know why they're afraid to do that. Because it's like but then the babies are going to be upset if they have to pay for it. The babies are going to be upset, and we don't want the toddlers to be upset who we're trying to cater this game to, you know? Get rid of the whole toddler baby mindset. All right? None of them are playing the goddamn game. Make this game for big boys, just like you did with Diablo 2 back in the day. Not that was you, that was other guys, but I mean, try to make it a little bit more for big boys, is what I say. You know, stop trying to cater to babies. How many babies are actually going to quit? You know what I mean? I mean, make them all pay the same amount for the goddamn pit, and I think it's going to be fixed.
Driven efforts like the Rifted Forward.
But if you guys will like this video, I see I'm at 20 minutes. I don't want to make it too long. Riker, I'm sure, has some good things to say after this. Maybe I'll respond to him in another video. But let me know what your thoughts are on these matters. Give me a hell yeah if you're with me on this stuff, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts, you know, your disagreements, your agreements, or whatever. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace be with you.